Now, this story, we know it's been tough. We've been talking about it all week here on the social. I'm sure you're talking about it in your homes as well, as we continue to follow the situation in Ukraine. And boy, it has been moving to see that despite the invasion and all of the violence, the disruption, the chaos of life, some Ukrainian couples are actually choosing to tie the knot. We want to dive into this discussion. Danelle, I'm going to start with you. What do you think is the psychology behind, I mean, that picture says it all. I mean, you're in fatigues, getting married. What do you think about that?
When I saw that, I was gutted. I was gutted because there's so much pain going on right now, and what a way to start a life. But I also understood it because I too, my husband was in the military, and he's gone overseas 4 times. So I understood the desire to want to connect and marry before this danger. And my husband actually told me yesterday, I don't quite remember it the same way, but he says that I forced him to get married before he left for Bosnia. So I don't quite remember it that way. I might be a little bit bossy sometimes, but not that bossy. But so we married, and then he left for 6 months afterwards. So I can understand wanting to make this commitment at a time where you feel this danger. And my heart just goes out to everybody in the Ukraine. It's just been so hard to watch from the sidelines, and but it's quite beautiful that they did that.
Human connection expert, Riaz? Oh, sorry, Jess. I wanted to see our human connection.
No, let's hear from an expert.
Yeah, this example, it's extremely heartwarming, and it just represents a beacon of hope in such a dark time that, you know, outside looking in, we've all observed. And it really made me think about the idea of how we find joy in times of despair and in times of crisis. And one of the things that I've learned, especially during the past couple of years, and not to make light of anything that's happening in the Ukraine, but working with Canuck Place Children's Hospice, families facing unimaginable circumstances of having to say goodbye to loved ones way too young. One of the questions that popped up from a lead counselor, her name is Deb, that really stands out of how we can navigate the conversations during these times is sometimes when it's difficult, we say things that make ourselves feel better. You know, I'm so sorry for what's happening. Let me know if you need anything, thoughts and prayers. And we say things that make us feel good, but don't necessarily give that person the chance to share something. And this counselor, Deb Davison, gave me a question that sticks with me to this day. When somebody is struggling and somebody is going through something like we see the people of Ukraine, she said, it's not about what you can say, it is about what you can ask. And I said, what's the best thing you could ask somebody that's going through something? And she said, if you've lost somebody, ask them, what do you want me to know about them?
Oh,
or what do you want me to know about what you're going through? And it's a beautiful invitation and space for somebody to share something so important.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jess?
Oh, that made me tear up. Yeah. Riaz, thanks for sharing that story. And I can't agree. I can agree with what Danielle was saying. Just one of the brides actually said, I'm happy that we are alive, that this day started, that her husband is with her another day. I personally can't think of a better reason to get married than that. When you look at the worst case scenario, we don't need to spell out the worst case scenario. The second worst case scenario is that the marriage doesn't last. That happens all the time. But in this moment, you know, the immense amount of joy and happiness when in a time of crisis, when everything I'm sure seems bleak and dark, seems like a beautiful thing.
You know what I love
It's
is
everything.
Yeah, I feel like it's such a hopeful gesture, not just for them in the moment, as all of you have so eloquently said about what it represents in the moment. But when I was reading what I believe the bride said, she said, we are getting married for the future survival of our country. And she has the hope and the forethought to say, we're going to win this. We're going to beat this. We are staying on our land. We are going to have a future. I took that as probably procreating. I don't know if I was reading too far into it, but there was certainly a lot of looking ahead that if we are to survive as Ukrainians, we must get married, maybe have children, and rebuild. And I thought, if that's not going to push you through what is, I'm sure, the worst time of their lives, and I don't know what is. So I really loved it. I thought it was a beautiful gesture.